Over the past few days, I have been farming out Ice Boss on my group Iron Man. And today I want to make a hopefully quick video on how I've been doing this, and hopefully some of y'all out there will be able to pull some decent information from it. So getting right into it, we'll just talk about the gear for a little bit. And with this iron, I just have full Bane +4, as well as the swords and the two-hander. Now when I started farming Ice Boss, I was actually using Necronium and sometimes Orichalcum with a couple other group members. As normal mode GLACOR with any of the mechanics selected, whether it's 0 mech or 5 mech, you can bring in other members of the group there. And with Orichalcum and a D-Sim, I was seeing okay enough accuracy in order to do it as a duo or a trio, but I didn't really start soloing this boss until I had full Necronium +4, and that worked out pretty well. I was seeing kills around the 6-minute mark or so, and at that point in time, I did not have a Ring of Vigor, I did not have a Amulet of Zealots, and obviously I didn't have a Scripture of When. This is a relatively new addition, but it is not a requirement at all, just to do some 5 mech, and I've just been upgrading my gear over time. Now if you're using Necronium, something to keep in mind is that the dual wields are slash, so a D-Sim spec will work with them, but the two-hander for Necronium, I might actually have one in the bank that I could pull out here. As you can see, it is a crushing weapon, which means that D-Sim will not work for that two-hander. However, the arm is weak to crush, so using your two-hander for the arm and then sticking to dual wield, maybe cleave swapping on the main boss will work just fine. If you're up to full Baneite, this won't matter because everything here is a slashing weapon and you're near enough 100% accuracy. And as long as you have a shield, you should be fine and not really need to use much food because you'll be rezzing the cannon hit as well as reflecting it for damage. And this superset and super restores, this is all from the Gobi supplier and you can just buy them outright. You can use quite a bit of potions here. I usually use about 1 super restore per kill, and on average you will profit massively from this boss just due to the alchables that you get and the raw GP drops. And if I go ahead and bring up the wiki to then show off the different drops here, if we scroll on down, as you can see there's a lot of helpful stuff here. It's mostly GP farming is what you're going to be doing here, which gold is very important for Iron Mans for things like summoning and other purchases, doing your miscellanea, you know, all of the sort. And also you get a lot of Baneite stone spirits, which is really important for balancing out your mining and smithing XP, as well as things like a scripture and whatnot. So overall, this is a worthwhile boss to do. And also the charms are very good here in normal mode at least. But I believe that is enough yapping. Let's just go ahead and get into a kill. I'll talk about the rotations that I'm using there, as well as some different things about aura selection. Though I don't have the adrenaline crystals unlocked yet, and if you need to get your first kill, you can just use the grouping system to teleport there on a group iron at least. Also, I should mention I do use the D-Halley spec in order to wipe out the minions. That is a somewhat hefty quest requirement, but it's nothing too terrible. And if you're not melee locked like myself, it's a lot simpler because you can just train any of the other requirements that you need normally. Then anyways, we will just sit here and build up some adrenaline. This will take a while, so go ahead and skip this. Alrighty, there we go. We are at max adrenaline. I'll go ahead and dive over and enter the portal. Now for aura, I typically run Brawler aura as it pretty much gives me 100% with D-Sim. And we'll just go ahead and enter and surge over, make sure our super pod is up. Use our quick prayers. And just barge in and start debuffing. Use a Quake and a D-Sim. Just hit some basic abilities. We've got an arm first, so what I'll do here is usually just hit like Dismember and Slaughter. Maybe a Hurricane into a Punish. Punish is one of your bigger abilities to use when you have kind of a limited rotation, like without a pod or anything like that. Then here I'm going to go ahead and hit Zerk, get a two-hander auto, use a two-hand ability, hit a dual-wield ability, and hit Freedom from main hand 2H auto. Now here, since I have the levels, I can usually just cleave these to death while under the Zerk, or to death, I should say. Finish off with a Hurricane. And the biggest damage increase you can do, again on kind of limited Zerk rotations like this, is sneaking in auto attacks. At least during your berserk and whatnot, but here I'm just gonna let it fly. Maybe do a couple bleeds. My debuffs have just run out, so I'm just going to go ahead and redo that. And I usually just try and flick on for the hit so I'm not wasting as much prayer, but if you don't want to, you don't really have to. And I'm just kind of waiting for Zerk to come off cooldown again. Maybe hit like a 2-hit flurry into a dismember. We'll see what attack we get here. And we got a cannon, which is really nice. So I'm just going to wait here a little bit. Go ahead and hit reflect now. Resonance and an ability, and then start another Zerk. And we still got the 2-hand auto off, so hit a couple 2-hand abilities, maybe a Desi into a Freedom. Main hand, let the 2-hand auto fly. And those 2-hand autos hit 3-4Ks. They're no joke. Just go through, hit some basics. The main idea of melee damage is still the same even when you're restricted like this. It's just mostly restricting the number of thresholds you're going to get off during the Zerk. Ring of Vigor is a massive help in that. You could also look into things like, what is it? Supreme Invigorate. That's another 10%, but you're probably going to want to wait until you have at least decent armor for that. Now, something you can do, kind of run to this corner, and then Quake will hit both of them. And I believe it still applies, so you can do that if you want. Punish will do a lot of damage here for a basic. And you don't even really need Devotion. I do have it unlocked, but it is not a requirement by any means. And I'm just going to go ahead and YOLO a Zerk here. Get our 2-hand auto off. And we got lucky with the spec order. And his HP is low enough to where we can actually use a punish out of this into a hurricane. And the average kill time I'm seeing here is anywhere from 3:45 to 4 minutes, which for this gear setup is not bad at all. And I've left the God Book off here intentionally just to show that you don't need it to get a decent kill time. It's just kind of a cosmetic there. Obviously, if you turn it on, it's going to be a bit more damage, and that's definitely not an excuse for me forgetting to turn it on. No, that could never be the case. It was so I could showcase to you that you don't need it, definitely. But again, I'm just kind of following the standard principles of melee damage. Now, I don't have Zerk up here, so I'll just run over and hit these guys with the Halley spec, and they just fall over. Regicide was quite the grind, but honestly was worthwhile. And he has such low HP here. I'm just going to Zerk, grab a 2-hand auto and punish. And then hit a couple basics and should be dead. And there we go. And that is a normal mode GLACOR kill on 5 mech. Kill time 410, that's about right for a kill time, a little bit on the slow side, but then again, nothing that isn't manageable. And as you go up in tiers of gear and as your stats get higher, I'm around base 80. I mean, I still have only 79 strength, so close enough. But I'm around the base 80s in +4 Bainite. So I'm expecting anywhere from 3:45 to just over 4 minutes of kill time. I've had a couple kills where I've really pushed my luck, and I've seen as low as a 3:36, and I believe I've gotten into the 3:20s already, which for this account is very surprising. This amulet is doing a lot of the heavy lifting with the single stat boosters, and then once I get curses, I am pretty close. That should help out a lot more, but I don't need to yap on anymore about this account. I think I have yapped long enough. Hopefully you're able to pull some information from this and get some art GLACOR kills yourselves, because the earlier you can farm GP on an iron, usually the better, as it frees up a lot of options or paths for you. But I am going to call the video here. Thank you very much for watching. Your viewership is greatly appreciated. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, nighttime, whatever it is, wherever you are, and I will see y'all next time for the next video. Peace.